Have you ever wondered if there's more to a court case than meets the eye? Well, today we're diving into a pretty wild theory that asks, what if a court case isn't about law at all, but is secretly a financial transaction? The idea is that the entire legal process is set up just like you're depositing a check at a bank. It's a radical concept, so let's dive in and see how this whole thing is supposed to work.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to walk through it step by step. We'll kick things off with the secret at the core of the theory, then use a simple bank check as our guide. From there, we'll see how that analogy gets mapped onto a courtroom, define some of the key terms, and then get to the really surprising part, the role this theory says you play in all of this. And finally, we'll hit the bottom line.
So, what is this big secret the theory claims is hiding right out in the open? Well, it proposes a completely different way of looking at pretty much every court case you can imagine.
At the absolute heart of this whole idea is one pretty startling question. What if a legal indictment, that official document that starts a criminal case, isn't treated by the court as a legal filing at all, but as a financial check being deposited into a bank?
Now, to even begin to understand this theory, we've got to start with something way simpler, something we all know, a bank check. According to the source material, this everyday transaction is literally the blueprint for the entire legal process.
Okay, so think about it. You deposit a check, right? First, the bank accepts it, endorses it, and basically turns it into money in their system. Then they credit your account, but they put a temporary hold on the funds. Next, they have to reach out to the payer's bank to get the green light, to get authorization. And finally, once the funds clear, the hold is lifted. If not, well, the check bounces right back, stamped insufficient funds. Keep these 4 steps in your head because they are absolutely key to everything that follows.
All right, so you've got the banking model down. Good. Now, let's take that exact same framework and lay it right on top of a courtroom. This is where the theory really starts making some surprising claims.
And here's how the theory maps it all out. A perfect one-to-one match. The indictment? That's the check. The plaintiff is the payee, the one getting paid. The defendant, who this theory calls the straw man, is the payer. And in this whole setup, the court itself becomes the bank. And the court clerk? They're the bank teller.
Now, the theory says the proof is hiding in plain sight, that filed stamp you see on all the court documents. It argues this isn't just some administrative procedure. No, that stamp is the court's official endorsement. It's the exact moment the court, acting like a bank, accepts the check for deposit and opens a brand new account for the case.
And this is why the theory argues an indictment is just a check in disguise. Think about it. It has all the parts of a financial document. A payer and a payee, a date, a signature, and even an implied dollar amount in the form of potential fines or penalties. And the place of payment? It's right there, the court.
Okay, to go even deeper, we need to get a handle on some specific lingo. A few key terms that this theory uses to describe this whole financial transaction taking place in the legal world.
First up, the case bond. So the moment that indictment gets deposited, the theory says the court goes ahead and creates a financial security. This bond is basically a pledge, listing the strawman defendant as the principal and another entity called the estate as the financial backer or surety.
So, what exactly is the estate? Well, this theory defines it as an individual's true, private source of credit. You can always think of it like a secret trust fund that the court wants to get its hands on. The entire legal process, it's argued, is really just a mechanism to tap into the funds of this estate.
And that leads us to the term surety. Simply put, a surety is just anyone who agrees to cover someone else's debt. So in this scenario, the court's #1 goal is to get the estate to step up and act as the financial guarantor for the entire case.
Okay, so here's the absolute linchpin of the whole theory. If the court needs the estate's credit, it has to get permission, right? It needs consent. This next part claims to reveal the exact document and the exact moment they used to get it.
Which, of course, brings us to the million-dollar question. The court has its check, it's created the bond, but the account is essentially locked. How on earth do they get authorization to pull the funds from the estate?
And the answer, according to this theory? The appearance bond. It claims this piece of paper is way, way more than just a promise to show up in court. Allegedly, it is the authorization form the court needs you to sign to greenlight the entire financial transaction.
And here comes the punchline. When you sign that appearance bond, the theory says you are no longer acting as the defendant. Nope. You are now acting as the banker for your own estate. Your signature is seen as the final authorization, the banker's acceptance that the court needs to finally tap into the estate's credit.
So if you do sign, if you agree to act as the banker in this transaction, what happens then? What are the ultimate consequences of giving that consent?
Well, according to the source, the implications are just massive. Signing means you're not just agreeing to show up, you're also consenting to the transfer of private funds from your estate. You're consenting for the estate to be the financial guarantor for the whole thing. And get this, you're also agreeing to provide your own body as the final collateral for the debt.
But let's play this out. What if you don't sign? What if consent is withheld? Well, now the court has a serious problem. Without your banker's acceptance, that case bond has zero authorized funding. This leaves the court with only two ways out. Either they have to return the indictment to the prosecutor, just like a bounced check, or the judge has to personally step in and accept financial liability for the case themselves.
And we'll end this with the source's own provocative question, which is really the final point of this whole theory. Is understanding this alleged financial process the real key to a different outcome? It's a really unconventional way to view the law, and it absolutely gives you a lot to think about. And that's where we'll leave this explainer.